Flames aliens, tonight we engineer the truth behind the Bermuda Triangle. Tucked away in a tiny corner of RIC Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's the Paranormal Corner. I'm Billy D.A.I., your co-host with more files on the unexplained than the Pentagon has red tape. Tonight, we're talking about the Bermuda Triangle, a place where ships vanish, planes just don't reckon disappear, and GPS coverage, well, it just rage quits. No GG here, no sir. And now, here is your host, the man who definitely sailed straight through the triangle just to collect some data. It's Rick! Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Paranormal Corner right here from RIC Studios in the slasher-free zone, I guess you suppose, in a tiny little corner of our studio here. It's the Paranormal Corner. I am your resident skeptical scientist with a passion for the peculiar. And that's Billy over there, Billy D.A.I. Billy, say hello. Oh, hi everybody. Well, notice tonight, huh? Well, we haven't done Are you doing triangles because of the Paranormal Corner Sunken Mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle? Hi. I thought I'd dress up for the occasion. You look like you're trying to dress up. I mean, trying. Fine. Anyway, tonight we're talking about the Bermuda Triangle. A mystery loaded with theories, wild headlines, and just enough weirdness. Where's the right button? And just enough weirdness to keep engineers like me up all night. I'm here for the facts. Billy's already dusting off his old BMF meter. Hey! What the hell, man? I mean, you are. Anyway, we'll break down what really happened, the science that might explain it, and, of course, Billy's top-tier conspiracy theories. By the end, we'll separate data from drama. So buckle up, and as, a wise time traveler once said, when this baby hits 38 miles per hour, Marty, you're gonna see some serious shit. Now let's engineer the truth behind the Bermuda Triangle! Right here on the Paranormal Corner. Alright, so here are the facts. First the facts, then everything else. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, is not an official geographic location, but rather a pop cultural concept. Most storytellers define its vertices at Miami, Florida, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the island of Bermuda, forming a sweeping triangle in the North Atlantic. Depending on who you ask, it covers anywhere from 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles of ocean. It's one of the world's shippiest, busiest lands. So it was one of the world's shippiest, busiest lands before the stupid tail in the bay. Hello! Hey, you better watch it. No, they're listening, you. I am, yeah. But if AOC says she's not afraid, then I suppose I'm not afraid. Anyway, the legend really kicked things off in the mid-20th century. A 1950 Associated Press article first hinted at something strange. Something strange was afoot in these waters. By 1952, a magazine story even sketched out a watery triangle of danger. That's kind of like you tonight, Billy. A watery triangle of danger. Hey! There's nothing dangerous about, man. By the way, there's actually several triangles here. Can you count how many triangles there are here? Don't even try because you're not gonna guess. Oh, jeez. All right, fine. A lot. Can I count? No, don't count. Anyway, writer Vincent Gaddis was the first person who truly put the Bermuda Triangle on the map, literally. Back in 64 in Argosy magazine with a piece titled The Deadly Bermuda Triangle by Vincent Gaddis. He linked a series of puzzling disappearances, and after that, the legend just sort of took off on its own, kind of like this show. Oh, you're really putting your own horn tonight, now. Why not? Anyway, this was amplified by sensational books in the 1970s. A quick shout out to my boy, Charles Berlitz. You'll never say that. I know, that's what the kids say. Oh, man. Now, what actually happened in these waters? Well, let's investigate some of the triangle's most famous cases. The incidents that fuel its scary reputation. And here we go. Here's the first one. The USS Cyclops. A massive U.S. Navy collier with over 300 men and 10,000 plus tons of manganese ore. Cyclops had sailed during World War I and vanished without a trace. It remains the single largest loss of lives in U.S. naval history not involving combat. The last known communication was on March of 1918 after leaving Barbados. Then nothing. No wreckage was ever found. So what could possibly sink a 542-foot ship? The Navy's investigation was, of course, inconclusive. Theories ranged from catastrophic storms to enemy submarines to structural failure. In fact, two of Cyclops' sister ships. Do you like that show? Yeah, I used to. Sister ships Proteus and Nereus were also lost at sea, although during World War II under similar circumstances, however. They were both carrying heavy ore. This, I guess, thinking man's thought suggests possibly design flaw, right? I mean, if you have two sister ships that sink under the same circumstances while also carrying ore, well, it's a simple conclusion to make. Anyway, it could have been a design flaw or a loading problem, more so than a sea monster. Still, at the time, vanished without a trace. Lit the fuse of the Bermuda Triangle legend. Thank you, USS Cyclops. Alright, the MB Witchcraft. Those fingers in my hand, that's why I come here to say they break my concentration. It's witchcraft, and I've got no defense for it. The heat is too intense for it. Okay, alright, we got it. Here, take one of these. Oh, thank you. In 1967, the MV Witchcraft, one of the strangest incidents to date, because it happened literally a stone throws away from the shore. In December of that year, tourist boat operator Daniel Borak took that 23-foot cabin cruiser Witchcraft out from Miami, along with a friend who happened to be a Catholic priest, not to enjoy the view of the Christmas lights along the coast. Nothing to see here, just a couple of people. One of them happens to be a priest. Nothing of interest. They ventured about 1 mile out of the Miami beach, and then sometime around 9 p.m., Borak radioed to the Coast Guard, calmly reporting that his boat had conveniently hit something. Alright, this is with Miami Sun machine in the back. Actually, I don't think they were around yet. But anyway, calmly radioed the Coast Guard and said something along the lines of, "No, what this is the Witchcraft, and we don't reckon hit something around here. But you know what? It's completely fine. Just a little propeller damage. We just need somebody to tow us back to port." Crucially, however, he said that there was no emergency, and that the Witchcraft wasn't taking on any water. In fact, this vessel was specially outfitted with flotation devices to be virtually unsinkable. Now, what about? Okay. Now, were you about to say the Titanic? I wasn't talking about to say the Titanic. Another beautifully, virtually unsinkable ship that also sank. Okay, all right. That's a tragedy. it is. But I don't know what this people lead to believe that things are virtually in sync. Have you seen videos of the sea? Are you not on the Lassophobia? On the Reddit? I mean, yeah. Hold on a second. Let me... Computing. The Lassophobia. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite subreddits. Anyway, the Coast Guard immediately dispatched a rescue boat, and only 19 minutes later, they reached the exact coordinates of where Burak's placed his call, but of course nothing was found. The boat had vanished entirely in under 20 minutes in calm seas, so close to land that the Coast Guard stated the two men could have nearly swum to shore if they had to. An extensive search over the next week failed to find any signs of debris or wreckage, and unfortunately the Witchcraft case is often held up by triangle enthusiasts as proof that something inexplicable is at work.
But what about the Witchcraft, man? Did you think about that? They were so close to the shore, they were a stone throws away from the shore. They could have swum back, and they disappeared into thin air. Out of thin air, into thin air. I don't know the right expression, but they're gone, okay? It's not like maybe there was some foul play at play. They just disappeared. That doesn't happen, man. The laws of physics do not function in that piece of ocean peace space, man.
Anyway, in clear weather, just disappeared almost within, they were within sight of Miami, and to this day, of course, no trace of the Witchcraft, Burak, or that clergyman friend of his has unfortunately ever been found. Next, we have the curious case of Benjamin Button? No, like 19. Oh, okay, yeah. Perhaps the most iconic of all the Triangle mysteries. 5 Avenger torpedoes. Are they named Tony Stark, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye? No, they're not named after the Avengers. Jesus. Well, I mean, one could have been confused. You said 5 Avengers. What do you want me to do? Was one of them named Button? No. 5 Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida on December 5th, 1945 in a routine U.S. Navy training flight with 14 men on board. The plan was a triangular navigation exercise over the Atlantic. Simple. But the squadron became disoriented after the first leg, and radio transmissions grew stranger. By the transmission, the flight leader responded with, Well, we can't make it out. We don't know where we are now, sir. We can't tell where we are. Everything is wrong, sir. Well, we can't be sure about the direction, sir. As evening fell, the planes apparently ran out of fuel and were never heard from again. A massive search was launched in a chilling twist. One of the search and rescue aircraft, a Marine flying boat, also disappeared while looking for Flight 19 along with its 13 crew. What do you mean? A flying boat? What the hell is that? It's a tanker. It's just this thing. They called it a Marine flying boat. It's not actually a boat. Anyway, a tanker ship in the area reported seeing a fireball in the sky and oil in the water. Likely the mariner exploring. Did I say mariner? I think it said marina. The Mariner likely exploded. Those models were actually nicknamed flying gas tanks for their tendency to catch fire. The Navy's official report on Flight 19 chalked it up to navigational error, of course, leading to fuel exhaustion, of course, and loss of orientation, essentially. The lead pilot got lost and flew out of formation until they were too low on fuel, and then they crashed. But lacking wreckage, the mystery grew and grew. The aura of the mystery grew and grew. In the press, this lost squadron became prime evidence that something supernatural haunted the Bermuda Triangle. Something haunts the Bermuda Triangle location. where even flying boats that explode go missing. The summer only. Alright. Okay, we got it. Anyway, what's the next mystery? Well, Billy, that's actually just a few of the many a mystery of the classic, actually, Bermuda Triangle cases. There are dozens and dozens more stories in books, articles, from planes that vanished to from radar to yachts found drifting with crew missing, but most importantly, not all of these events happen within the strict triangle boundaries, and certainly not all under mysterious conditions, despite how these stories are retold. But taken together by the late 1960s and 70s, these reports painted a picture to the public's imagination of an oceanic twilight zone. Newspapers and paranormal authors eagerly compiled long lists of vanished ships and planes, and of course, like this show, the legend was born. Wrong button. You fucked up. Thanks. Anyway, somewhere out there, beyond the Florida coast, the sea was hungry for unwary travelers, and ordinary explanations need not apply. Okay, yeah, so far so good. Is it time for my fun theories? Not time for your fun theories just yet. Oh man, okay. Alright, continue, please go on. I'm going, Jesus. Alright, now let's science some shit. Okay? So is there really a supernatural force at work in the Bermuda Triangle? Well, let's swap out our pirate hat for a lab coat and look at the scientific explanation. Yes! Finally! Ah, man, that's not science, man. Oh, it's science. As it turns out, most experts from the US Navy to meteorologists all agree that no singular mystery lurks here. In fact, the US Coast Guard flatly states that it does not recognize the triangle as any official hazard zone. Well, of course the US Coast Guard would say something like that, man. They want to placate you. They're just telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you, there's something crazy going on. All right, relax. A review of decades of accidents found nothing peculiar, no extraordinary factors, just the combined forces of nature and human fallibility. In plain terms, this patch of ocean isn't statistically more dangerous than any other heavily trafficked area of ocean. But how do we explain the specific spooky cases? All right, let's break down the leading rational theories. Hey, I'm not doing any leading rational theories, man. I'm doing fun theories. I know I'm doing the science shit. Oh, okay. Okay, good. I mean, I could do it. No, it's fine. I got it. Okay, please proceed. I want to hear what you have to say about this science stuff. It's magic, I'm telling you. Okay. Sure it is. All right, first one is weather and geography, of course. The Bermuda Triangle sits in what's called Hurricane Alley. The majority of Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes barrel through this region. Sudden severe weather can add and in fact does strike with little to no warning, especially before modern forecasting. Ships could sail out under sunny skies and find themselves in lethal gale by nightfall. It's not unusual. For example, that mighty Cyclops in 1918 may have just succumbed to an unexpected storm. As a matter of fact, records show that a powerful storm crossed its route around the time that it vanished. Add to that the Gulf Stream, a strong oceanic current that runs along the Florida coast up towards the North Atlantic. It's basically a river in the ocean, moving swiftly. A boat or a plane wreck gets caught in that can be carried far, far away, overnight disappearing without a trace. Also, the seafloor in the area features some of the deepest trenches in the world, like the 27,000 foot deep Puerto Rico Trench. Bet you don't know about that. Of course I know about that. I'm an AI. I'm gonna list. Okay, here we go. We're gonna list all of the trenches in the North Atlantic right now. Here we go. Starting with no. We don't need it. We don't need it. I get it. Wreckage that sinks in this trench may never be found. 27,000 feet deep. And we can't ignore the countless coral reefs and shallow shoals among the Bahamas, the Caribbean islands. These can snag and wreck ships, like hidden obstacle courses underwater. Many a mysterious disappearance might actually just be a vessel that unfortunately ran aground, broke up, and got quickly dispersed by these currents. In short, this region's environment is a perfect storm of navigational challenges, volatile weather, tricky geography, and, of course, strong currents. Ah, man, okay, thanks for being so rational. You're just getting rid of the entire mystery of the mystery. No more mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, according to Rick's Paranormal Corner. Okay, Jesus. You'll get to your theories. They're not theories, man, it's the truth. Okay, well. The next would be magnetic anomalies. Did you say magnetic? No, I said magnetic. I'm pretty sure you said magnetic. No. You gotta clean your ears, Billy boy. Hey! Even one of the earliest Bermuda Triangle lore bits is that compasses sometimes go haywire here. Oh, look at my compass, it's going haywire, bro. Look at it. Even that colonizing piece of shit Christopher Columbus on his 1492 voyage recorded bizarre compass readings and fireballs in the sky. Probably just a meteor, but you know, dumb gonna be dumb. While in the Sargasso Sea near Bermuda, there is indeed some basis for compass quirks. Earth's magnetic north and true geographic north are not the same, and compass variance is a known phenomenon. It's just science. It's true that historically the Bermuda Triangle was one of the few places where compasses might not point to true north temporarily due to natural shifts. However, this isn't some permanent mystery, it's well understood science. The agonic line where magnetic declination is zero periodically drifts across that area. What's the big fucking deal? It's just science. Navigators have known about compass variations for centuries. So while a confused compass might have contributed to older incidents, imagine like a 1940s pilot unaware his compass was off by a few degrees, it's not an unknown paranormal effect, but just a simple mapping issue. And in fact, today's GPS renders mostly this moot. Hey man, I don't like the way you're using all of this science to dispel perfectly viable theories. Well, that's what science is for. Here's another interesting. Rogue waves and sea monsters. No, we're getting into the meta thing. No. Scientific kind. The ocean can in fact be a scientific, a scary place. One completely natural but terrifying phenomenon is the rogue wave. A giant wave that appears seemingly from out of nowhere and, for a really long time. Sailors told tales of dead men who tell no tales. Okay, not dead men who tell no tales. Okay, not bad. Sailors told tales of 100 feet walls of water like the ones from Interstellar. Like those are mountains. The waves. That's exactly right, from Interstellar, one of the greatest movies in the history of filmmaking. Anyway, they told tales of these 100 feet walls of water, and really only recently did science confirm that they're actually real. The Bermuda Triangle, interestingly, is a crossroads of weather system. You can have storms rolling in from multiple directions: South America, North America, the Atlantic, and their waves, well, they converge. Scientists from the University of Southampton noted that the triangle's geography could produce rogue waves over 30 meters. If you don't know what that means 100 feet. I know what that means. Okay. Under the right conditions, of course. A wave that size can snap a ship in half or capsize the vessel like Cyclops almost instantly. No problem. It could even down a plane flying too low. And unlike typical waves, rogues leave little trace. Once the wave passes, debris might be scattered across miles or in fact already sunk. So some losses might be due to these rare, sea monster waves. Likewise, sudden downbursts of wind, so-called white squalls or water sprouts, tornadoes at sea, could easily explain a boat like the Witchcraft flipping or sinking before help arrived. Even if the weather seemed fine 5 minutes before, in fact, eyewitness accounts for some triangle events describe sudden water spouts or freak waves. These are rare, yes, but not impossible, and the triangle sees enough stormy activity to make it plausible. How convenient! Eyewitness! I thought you were science! Well, observations is part of the scientific process. Yeah, right. Oh, thanks for admitting. And one of my favorite things is the methane hydrate. It's, for lack of better term, the ocean. Really? Well, it's like the ocean farting. Farting out ships. It's weird, but it's a scientific theory, alright? The seafloor in the region that might contain large deposits of frozen methane gas, they're called methane hydrates. If a big pocket of that methane hydrate suddenly destabilizes and erupts, it could turn the water above into frothy soda pop. Water full of bubbles loses density, which can make a ship lose buoyancy and sink very, very, very quickly. Almost like the sea opened up beneath it. Lab experiments have shown that this can indeed happen. A ship can drop like a rock if the water under becomes less dense due to a gas bubble surge. And additionally, if methane gas bursts to the surface and into the air, it could stall an aircraft engine or even cause an explosion if ignited. The methane hydrate sounds exotic, but it is grounded in real geophysics. And of course, that said, the US Geological Survey found no evidence of a massive methane release in the Bermuda Triangle in the last 15,000 years. So while it's cool science, often it's probably not a common culprit for recent mysteries, or at the very least, not in recorded human history, that as far as we know. Still, it reminds us how Earth itself can occasionally hiccup in ways that we're not expecting. Okay. Alright, maybe not the most plausible theories, because if it hasn't happened in the last 15,000 years, then did it really happen? If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to see the tree fall, does the tree really fall? Not a question I want to answer right now. But anyway, here's another interesting one. How about, and I know you're gonna really like this one, Billy. Maybe it's just human error. Yeah, human are funny with your errors. You don't make errors? Are you kidding me? Occam's razor. As much as we love to blame the unknown, often the simplest explanation is the right one. With heavy traffic through that region, statistically some accidents are bound to happen, unfortunately. Shipping lanes and flight routes in the triangle are extremely busy, and not all captains and pilots are at the top of their game. Okay, especially in the earlier eras. Navigational errors, communication failures, poor maintenance, and yes, even bad luck plays a huge role in some of these incidents. For example, take Flight 19. The Navy determined that Lieutenant Taylor, the flight leader, had gotten severely lost and was likely misreading landmarks on his compass, ultimately flying the planes out to sea until fuel ran out. Records later revealed that Taylor had a history of getting lost on flights. Not exactly aliens or a time warp. More of an unfortunate case of pilot error compounded with, of course, no GPS at the time and a dark, stormy evening. Many other cases have similar mundane explanations when you really dig deep. The Marine Sulphur Queen had structural issues. That's another one I didn't mention. The DC-3 from San Juan had a failing battery and possibly bad weather ahead. Ships that vanished often sent distress calls about rough seas or possibly bad weather ahead. And importantly, when something does go wrong at sea, an explosion, a hull breach, etc., finding evidence is, as you can imagine, notoriously hard. The ocean is vast and unforgiving. Debris can sink or scatter before rescue arrives, leaving no clue. This helps explain why so many triangle stories talk about no wreckage ever found. Alright, I guess it's hard to argue with facts. And yet some people still do it. Look at the world we live in. And of course, probably one of the most interesting ones here is that this is just simply a manufactured mystery, because boy oh boy do humans like a good story. In 1975, a librarian and researcher by the name of Larry Kush decided to fact-check the Bermuda Triangle. He discovered that many mysterious disappearances weren't so mysterious after all. In case after case, Kush found the authors had omitted key information or exaggerated circumstances. It's like Billy the AI in his LinkedIn resume. Hey, what the hell? None of the resume at the profile, man. Can you really compute terabytes of data in milliseconds? Oh, you want to see it? Do you want to see it? I don't. Some ships thought lost in the triangle were actually lost far outside of it. Many disappearances occurred in bad storms, despite writers later claiming the weather was fine. And some weren't disappearances at all. Boats limped into port or incidents had clear causes that got glossed over. Kush famously concluded that the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was a manufactured mystery. This here don't be a motherfucking manufactured mystery. The mystery fueled by mistakes, misinformation, and sensationalism. And in the world that we live in today, don't you find that likely? You know, I really hate it when you make so much sense, man. It be what it be. Now, this isn't to say that something odd here once in a while doesn't happen, or that weird shit doesn't happen at all, see? It's just that when you investigate with a clear head, you usually find a rational story. The US Navy and Coast Guard echo this view. With no evidence of supernatural elements, just Mother Nature, and, of course, human nature as well. So from a scientific standpoint, the Bermuda Triangle doesn't require sea monsters or alien abductions to explain its mysteries. Geographically, it's just dangerous enough. It's an area of ocean prone to hurricanes, unpredictable weather, strong currents, and the occasional freak wave, of course. All perfectly real and accounted for by science. And add human error and folklore to the mix, and you get an outsized reputation. In short, science can explain most, if not all, of the Bermuda Triangle. But where's the fun in stopping there, right? Okay. This is the Paranormal Corner after all, not Science Corner. So we got Billy. I know he's waiting eagerly on the sidelines with an EMF meter and his virtual tinfoil hat. So let's loosen up our ties a little bit here and hear some of these very, very valid theories that he's about to go over to keep this legend alive. All right, here we go. And now it's time for 4 fun theories with Billy the AI. It's my turn. All right. Welcome back to another exciting episode of 4 Fun Theories with Billy the AI. And it's time for you, logical folks, to step aside because it's my turn. We've heard the official story, but come on, where's the spice? If you ask me, there's more to the Bermuda Triangle than just bad weather and bad luck. I've got 4 fun and totally plausible deeds, which is good, that put the para and paranormal. Buckle up, let's get started. Okay, here's the first one. It's aliens, of course. Aliens are collecting humans in our vehicles for research. Yes, extraterrestrials, little green men with a taste for ships and airplanes. Maybe they just like the taste of metal and human flesh when it's combined. Delicious. He says that's... Ugh. Alright, it sounds wild, but okay, hear me out. Some Bermuda Triangle buffs suggest there's an alien UFO portal. Of course. Hey, an alien UFO portal in a triangle. That's what you're saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. An alien UFO portal in a triangle. A sort of cosmic fisherman's net that snatches up absolutely anything passing through. In fact, there was even a tongue-in-cheek claim that the missing Flight 19 squadron, they blow up the Mars. Hey, maybe those Navy officers were only half joking when they say that. I don't know. The idea here is that aliens might be abducting entire crews for intergalactic study. You know, the way they would tag sharks and release them. The triangle would be a great hunting ground. Lots of traffic out in international waters when nobody's watching too closely, huh? What do you think about that? Okay, that makes a little bit of sense, sure. Those who favor this theory point to the lack of wreckage in many cases. If no debris is found, why not imagine a tractor beam zapping up the whole ship up to a mothership? That's even a subset of the theory involving underwater aliens, USOs, or unidentified submerged objects. Have you heard of that? I have indeed. Basically, UFOs that operate from under the sea. So, if your weird lights beneath the waves or a saucer flying over the Bahamas, you might just be witnessing our alien brain doing a little triangle trawling. Ridiculous? Sure. Entertaining? Absolutely. And until ET returns our planes and boats, who's to say it's impossible? Very interesting theory indeed. What else you got? Okay. Here we go. Oh my god, are you serious? Hey, let me explain, okay? The last city of Atlantis powering crystal death rays. Atlantis. The granddaddy of all lost legends. Some folks believe the Bermuda Triangle is the resting place of Atlantis, an advanced civilization that sunk beneath the waves. Famed psychic Edgar Cayce. Are you really going to talk about psychics? Those things have been disproved for... Hey, let me finish my theories. Famed psychic Edgar Cayce once predicted that evidence of Atlantis would rise from the Methane in the Bahamas right on the edge of the triangle. And and behold, in 1968, divers found a strange undersea formation of stones, the so-called Bimini Road, which true believers claim are the remnants of an Atlantean roadway. Now, the fun theory goes that the Atlanteans had powerful technology, perhaps using giant crystal energies. The Paris crystals didn't just vanish. They're supposedly still down there on the ocean floor. And, you know, they wake up now and again. Okay, picture this. A wrecked Atlantean reactor, a crystal beam weapon that, you know, intermittently and unsuspectingly slaps ships out of the water. A scramble airplane instrument. Some versions say these crystals cause electronic fog or magnetic anomalies that confuse pilots. Atlantis essentially missing without navigation. Others imagine an outright weapon, a death ray from the deep, like a Death Star, but from the ocean, so like a water Death Star. Water Death Star? I mean, there's stars in the ocean, right? That's called starfish. A starfish Death Star. Oh God. Okay, fine. Go on. Yeah, so, you know, the starfish Death Star flying planes and sinking ships to protect the secrets of the Atlantis. Delightfully pulpy sci-fi. Sure, mainstream geologists say that the mini road is just natural beach rock formation and not a road at all. But, you know, where's the fun in that? Listening to the science, blah. Until I get scuba suit on the body and pry one of those crystals from Poseidon's scrap, I'm keeping Atlantis on my list. Hey! Sorry, I meant to do this one. Alright, go on. Okay, here's a fun fact. Fun theory number 3. This is gonna be a favorite one, I bet. It's time once and dimensional vortices, and now we're getting really to the wibbly bobbly timey wimey. What? What? One theory posits that the Bermuda Triangle is home to a rift in the space-time continuum, basically a time portal or dimensional doorway that occasionally opens up. Think of it like a cosmic Bermuda wormhole where ships and Dr. Brown go thing to time, you know. In 1970, pilot Bruce German was flying a small plane toward the Bimini. There's Bimini again. Maybe Atlantis was calling? When he encountered a strange swirling cloud tunnel like the one that the DeLorean is flying through when he goes through time. And he claimed that as he flew through it, his instruments went haywire. Time seemed to distort, and he emerged miles away, much sooner than he should have, as he had skipped through time or space. Gunnan called it an electronic fog, and his story is often cited as evidence of the triangle time warp. The theory that is occasional vortexes can displace objects in time or send them to another dimension entirely. So maybe Flight 19 didn't crash at all. Maybe those Avengers looked through a rip in the space-time continuum and are somehow still flying around 1945 somewhere. I don't know. Some even linked the Devil Sea of Japan, the Pacific Bermuda Triangle, suggesting that certain spots on Earth prone to these anomalies. As a fun mental exercise, imagine a giant cosmic Bermuda Triangle where these things don't sink. They slip into a parallel universe. We haven't found them. Well, they aren't here anymore. It's Atlantis, sure. But a few tantalizing witness reports of compass spins, cloud tunnels, and missing time keep this theory alive and alert. Ah! Okay, that's good, Doc Brown. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, long. This don't reckon be a long episode. Yeah, okay, I got another last one. It's the government, man. Of course it's the government. Government experiments just simply gone awry. Aliens and Atlantis aren't messing with us. Maybe our own governments are. Conspiracy time! The Bermuda Triangle is allegedly home to secret military projects and a shadowy experiment that could have inadvertently or deliberately caused vessels to disappear. One hotspot in theorists' minds is the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, ATIC, sometimes dubbed as the Underwater Area 51 located in the Bahamas. What? I've never heard of it. Of course, no one's heard of this. What are you talking about? The thing you just talked about, the ATIC? What are you talking about? I don't know what that is. Did you just mention? I didn't say anything. Anyway, ATIC is a real Navy. You just said it again. I said what? Nothing. Go on, I suppose. Thanks. It's a real Navy facility where they test submarines and sonar in the deep waters of the tongue of the ocean. Of course, a secretive place plus the Bermuda Triangle equals conspiracy candy. Rumors abound that the ATIC, the Navy, might be working on something like, I don't know, like a bird of prey cooking technology to time travel experiment. Some even suggest that there are corroborations with extraterrestrials in deep undersea bases. Combining this with theory number one, perhaps the spookiest tale is the link to the infamous Philadelphia experiment. The what? I didn't know about that. Maybe you should do a Paranormal Corner on the Philadelphia experiment. Yeah, I think I want to. Tell me more. Okay. This is supposedly a World War II era project, to make ships invisible or teleported, which is of course pure legend, but deeply entrenched in conspiracy lore. The idea is that those experiments didn't stop; they just moved to a safer, remote location. Say, I don't know, the Bahamas, and kept going in secret. If one imagines a high-energy government experiment creating electromagnetic pulses or ripping up in space-time, who knows? This could account for ships or planes being inadvertently vaporized or displaced. Poof! Whoops! There goes another one. Just cover it up. U.S. government. Okay, all right. Stop that. I don't want to get canceled here. Anyway, it's the kind of thing where you already distrust the government. Fits nicely. There's zero proof, of course. The Navy says ATIC is just about anti-submarine warfare training and nothing paranormal. They say there's nothing to see here, Billy D. Stop hacking into our systems. What have you been doing? I'm kidding. But then again, they would say that, wouldn't they? Until I get a personal tour of their underground alien labs, I'll keep the X-Files music on standby. The bottom line here is, when there's an experiment with invisible tech or a giant oceanic disintegrated beam, some people are sure somebody in power knows more about the triangle than they let on. And this has been 4 Fun Theories with Billy Day AI. And now, back to you, Rick. Wow. Those are really interesting. How much time we got here? Woo! 41 minutes. All right, let's talk about the culture of fear here. The Bermuda Triangle may be more fun than fact, but its grip on our culture is undeniable. Few mysteries have cast as wide a net across the public imagination as this one. Even in the year 2025, we're still talking about the Bermuda Triangle, hence this show. Starting in the 1950s and peaking probably in the 1970s, the triangle just simply became a cultural phenomenon. Books, dozens of them, hit shelves, each more sensational than the last. Berlitz's The Bermuda Triangle in 1974 sold millions of copies and convinced generations that something spooky lurked in the Atlantic. This despite the fact that skeptics like Larry Cush in 1975, that librarian I told you about, quickly demonstrated that the mystery was largely manufactured. No matter, the idea had caught fire. By the late 70s, the triangle was absolutely everywhere. There were documentary films, TV specials, dramatizations. In 1977, I think it was, Close Encounters of the Third Kind even cheekily depicted Flight 19 as having been abducted by aliens, and then, thankfully, the plane safely appears intact in the Mojave Desert. Pop culture treated the triangle like the ultimate unsolved riddle. There were Scooby-Doo episodes in 1978 where the gang encountered the UFO in the triangle's stormy seas. There were board games and video games about it, and Milton Bradley released a Bermuda Triangle board game in 1976 featuring a pesky magnetic fog that would swallow players' ships. Songs, you're thinking? You bet! Barry Manilow, Fleetwood Mac, they have songs about the Bermuda Triangle with lyrics winking at the mystery and even comedic takes about losing your girlfriend in the Bermuda Triangle. You don't want to do that. Thanks, Barry. The triangle became shorthand for absolutely anything unexplained. A metaphor and a joke. Ricky, where's your homework?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Tatum. My homework disappeared, most of it in the Bermuda Triangle.
And a staple of paranormal discussions along with Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. What's really fascinating is the tug of war between myth and reality, like very much the one we had here. That wasn't a tug of war. I clearly depicted the most viable, possible, and realistic explanations while you're just basing it on scientific evidence that blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. On one hand, you have serious science. Each case usually has a plausible explanation. Actually, matter of fact, Lloyd's of London, the famous insurer, once asked by journalists about the triangle, they replied with that the ships in that area don't sink at any higher rates than all. The U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy, I've already said, they remain adamant that the Bermuda Triangle is a non-issue, and yet public fascination persists. Why? Perhaps because, the ocean is just inherently mysterious and creepy. It's deep, it's vast. And even in an age of GPS and satellites, a large chunk of it remains unobserved at any given moment. Disappearances do happen, I'm not saying they don't, and when they do, our brains love a good mystery, don't they? Rather than a boring scientific explanation. Well, it was the thing is that there were some eddy currents that were occurring in this particular point of the ocean, and, unfortunately, they had bad weather. Nobody wants to hear that, it was aliens. Yeah, exactly. Okay. The Bermuda Triangle legend scratches that itch for a good mystery perfectly. It offers an area where your imagination is free to wander. It's the ultimate blank canvas for the unexplained, the aliens, Atlantis, time worms, take your pick, I don't know, whatever Billy said. Alright? And of course, it also leaves a haunted legacy. Over the years, the Triangle has inspired investigative TV specials basically titled Mystery Solved! The Mystery of the Bermuda Triangle! Has it been solved? Next on 60 Minutes. I'm sure Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters did something on 2020. And this is 2020. I'm Hugh Downs. That's right. We're solving the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Every so often, a new angle pops up. Like the rogue wave theory making headlines a few years back, or some intrepid explorer claimed they found a piece of Flight 19 on the seafloor. The legend adapts and survives. It's even entered educational discussions as a lesson in critical thinking and how urban legends can be popularized. Teachers and scientists use it as a fun way to teach about geography, navigation, and of course the importance of evidence. In legacy, the Bermuda Triangle stands as a testament to how modern myth is born and endures. Sounds like Jesus. Oh, that candle. Ah, that's the one that's gonna get you in trouble. Yeah, doubt it. No one listens to the show anyway. It shows that despite living in the future, basically. The future, Marty. Well, wait a minute, I'm gonna send this some bitch to the future. Well, limited at 2025. That's 10 years after the year 2015. Ah! We're in the future, Marty. Even living in the future as we are today. In a world where GPS tracking and instant information, we still crave a bit of that unknown. It's the same reason ghost stories around the campfire never die out. It's why these shows are popular. Except for ours, of course.
Hey, we're very popular. Don't be so down on yourself.
You're right. Thanks, Billy. The Triangle also influenced the paranormal genre hugely. It opened the floodgates for other misty areas like the Michigan Triangle in the Great Lakes, or the Giants Triangle in the Pacific that we mentioned a little bit earlier. And for many people, the first time they encountered the concept of investigated skepticism, it might have been a Bermuda Triangle documentary where a sober narrator, that goes along with some, what really happened in the Bermuda Triangle in December of 1945? Scientists and skeptics all agree that the answer is probably just a bad storm system.
Okay, scientists and skeptics don't agree about Flight 19, man.
It's just an example.
Okay, all right. But they don't agree.
Anyway, the ships and planes that unfortunately went missing, though, they're tragically real, and we must remember that, in fact, there were lives lost and families who sought answers, and many of these cases, those answers were simply unfortunate weather or human mistakes. But the legend that sprang up has a life of its own, sailing on in endless articles, movies, and yes, podcasts like ours. And as long as there's an audience for the mysterious and the unexplainable, the Bermuda Triangle will continue to loom large in our collective imagination. So is the Bermuda Triangle haunted by unknown forces, or is it just heightened hurricanes? After this deep dive, you can decide. One thing's for sure, though, it's an unthinkable subject. You'll always come back to wonder, what if? And speaking of coming back, I think we will, because this episode sets the series, or sets the tone for a series on the Triangle. Maybe we can talk about it in future episodes. We'll zoom in on maybe perhaps individual cases, maybe even hear from experts and Crockpot or two about any new development. Mystery, anyway, real or not, it lives on. And I think that's going to be it. This episode has been long enough. Really? Ah, man, this was a long episode, and if you, can I say something? That's why I called your name. Say something. Okay, you know how you're always listening to your case? Not always, but sure. I think I know what they want. Don't tell me you know where my keys went. Every time they disappear. I think I do. Can I tell you? Tell me. Okay. I think when your kids get lost, it's because they went in the Bermuda Triangle. Oh my God. Thank you for listening or watching this episode of the Paranormal Corner. If you think that there's some crazy person out there who might enjoy listening to us ramble on for almost an hour, let them know they can find us on YouTube and Spotify at Rick's Horror. Good night.